All right, welcome to a deep dive crafted just for you. We're jumping straight into the source material you shared, and today we're looking at something pretty surprising.
Oh,
Yeah, the power packed into really, really short workouts. Specifically, how just 10 minutes, believe it or not, of intense movement might give you some serious health benefits.
it's a really fascinating area, isn't it? I mean, so much fitness thinking is like you need 45 minutes, an hour, maybe more to get real results.
Exactly.
But this material, yeah, it definitely highlights a bit of a shift.
Absolutely. So our mission here is basically to unpack the main ideas from this summary you sent over. We want to understand not just that these 10-minute sessions work, but how.
Yeah.
How do they manage to fit effective exercise to a crazy busy schedule? What's the sort of basic idea behind it all?
Well, at its core, it really comes down to intensity. These 10-minute sessions, people often call them micro workouts. They're designed to be short, yes, but maximally effective. And they manage that because they leverage high intensity. The source really frames them as a solution, for that classic, I just don't have time problem.
Right, the biggest barrier for so many people. Okay, let's dig into this then. So we're definitely not talking about like a gentle 10-minute walk around the block here.
No, definitely not. Far from it. They borrow heavily from things like high-intensity interval training, HIIT,
CTIT.
on circuit training principles too. And the science mentioned in the summary, it's actually pretty compelling. It suggests these short, intense bursts can give you physiological benefits that are genuinely comparable to much longer, more moderate workouts.
Wow. Okay, comparable benefits in what, like a sixth of the time? That's a bold claim.
It is.
But the source says there's solid evidence.
Yeah.
And the flexibility thing seems important too. Like you can stack these 10-minute blocks through the day.
Precisely. It's that cumulative effect. You do these focused, high-effort intervals, maybe a couple of times a day. It totally reframes exercise. It's not this huge chunk of time you have to find anymore. Something you can sort of weave into the gaps in your day.
Okay, speaking of the results then, let's dive into those specific benefits the source talks about. First one, cardiovascular health. How on earth does such a short burst help our heart and lungs?
Well, what's really effective is how quickly they push your heart rate up.
Right.
That rapid elevation, especially when you repeat it in intervals, it's incredibly potent for improving cardiovascular markers. The source mentions things like better blood pressure, lower heart disease risk over time,
Okay.
and even measurable boosts in things like VO2 max.
And VO2 max, just remind us quickly, that's basically how well your body uses oxygen when you're going all out, right? Like a key fitness marker.
Exactly right. It's a measure of your aerobic engine, essentially. Pushing your system hard, even for just a short time, trains it to be more efficient with oxygen. You'll feel breathless, yeah. But that's the signal. That's your body adapting.
Got it. Okay, so beyond the heart stuff, can you actually build strength or muscle tone or help your bones in just 10 minutes? Especially if you're not lifting heavy weights.
Yeah, you absolutely can. And the source really emphasizes using your own body weight for this.
Body weight. Okay.
Think about compound exercises, those movements that use multiple joints like squats, push-ups, lunges.
The classics.
Exactly. When you do those with good form and enough intensity, you build functional strength, you stimulate the muscles effectively, and the impact, the loading from those movements, that actually helps improve bone density too.
Which is so important.
Crucial, yeah, especially as we age and, bone mass tends to decrease naturally.
Okay, so strength, heart health, check. The summary also mentions a big metabolic boost and this thing called the afterburn effect. That sounds intriguing, like you're getting benefits even after you stop.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting for calorie burn and metabolism. So intense workouts obviously burn calories while you're doing them. But this afterburn, the scientific term is EPO, excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. That's where you get this extra metabolic kick.
EPOC.
So after a really intense session, your body has to work harder just to recover. It needs more oxygen. It needs to repair muscle tissue. All that takes energy.
Okay.
So your metabolism stays elevated, burning more calories, potentially for hours after you've finished the workout. The source specifically points this out as being good for reducing visceral fat too, the dangerous kind around your organs.
That's amazing. So your body's still ticking over faster while you're, back at your desk.
Pretty much. And then there's the mental health side too. How do these quick, intense bursts affect our mood and focus?
Right. Yeah, what about that?
Well, a big part is the endorphin release. The body's natural mood boosters, they
Hmm.
kick in pretty quick, like intense effort, even short bursts. So you get this almost immediate stress reduction, a lift in your mood. Over time, it can even help with symptoms of anxiety and depression. Plus, it's just a great mental break, isn't it? Stepping away for 10 minutes, focusing purely on movement. It can really clear your head and help you refocus afterward.
So it's like a physical and a mental reset button.
Exactly.
Okay, so you mentioned the principles driving this HIIT and circuit training. What does that actually look like in a 10-minute workout? How do you apply them?
So HIIT is really the engine here. It's all about alternating these very short bursts of like almost maximum effort with brief recovery periods.
Okay, maximum effort.
Yeah, the source mentions aiming for around 80% of your max heart rate during those on intervals. So picture maybe 30 seconds going flat out doing mountain climbers or burpees or something,
Huh.
followed by 30 seconds of maybe just walking on the spot or complete rest. And you just repeat that cycle.
Okay, intense bursts, then recover. And how does circuit training fit in?
Circuit training works really well with HIT in this short time frame. You basically line up a series of different exercises, maybe targeting different muscles,
Right.
and you move from one to the next with very little, or maybe even no, rest in between until you've done them all. So you might do squats, then bang straight into push-ups, then planks, then lunges.
Keeping the heart rate up the whole time.
Exactly. It mixes the strength and the cardio together really efficiently. Keeps the intensity high, no wasted time.
So the fundamental deal seems to be you're swapping time for intensity. If you're only doing 10 minutes, you have to push hard. That's that intensity duration trade-off the source mentions.
That's precisely it. You're using higher intensity to kind of compress the time needed to get a similar physiological stress, a similar adaptation that you'd need much longer to achieve at a lower intensity. Makes sense?
Yeah, totally. But none of this works well or safely without good technique.
Right.
And this idea of progressive overload.
Oh, absolutely critical. Non-negotiable, really. Especially when you're pushing hard, proper form is everything for preventing injuries.
Right.
You've got to focus on moving correctly first, then think about speed or intensity, and progressive overload just gradually making it harder over time.
How do you do that?
Well, maybe adding a couple more reps or reducing your rest time slightly, or maybe trying a harder version of an exercise. That's essential too. Your body adapts pretty fast, so you need to keep nudging it, keep challenging it to keep making progress.
Makes sense. Keep it challenging. Okay, so we know why they work, the principles. How does the source suggest we actually do them? What kind of routines can you fit into 10 minutes?
Yeah, and a big theme here is accessibility. Lots of these routines need absolutely zero equipment.
Nice.
Full body weight circuits are a perfect example. You could just sequence, say, squats, push-ups, mountain climbers, lunges, maybe a plank hold. Do each for a set time, move to the next, and repeat that whole circuit maybe 2 or 3 times in your 10 minutes.
Simple, but effective if you go hard.
Super effective and totally portable, but you can also get more specific.
Like targeting certain areas.
Exactly. The source mentions you could do like a 10-minute core blast. Think crunches, leg raises, Russian twists. Or maybe an upper body focus with different push-up variations and tricep dips. Or just legs and glutes. Sumo squats, glute bridges, lunges. You can tailor it day to day based on what you feel like or need.
Very flexible. And what if you do have equipment? Like you're at the gym or have stuff at home?
Then you just apply the exact same HIIT principles. You could do intense sprints on a treadmill for, say, 30 seconds, then walk or rest for 30 seconds and repeat that for 10 minutes.
Right.
Same idea works on a stationary bike, a rower, even with a jump rope. Intense bursts followed by recovery. The structure adapts really easily.
This all sounds incredibly practical, but, safety has got to be key, especially if you're talking high intensity. What does the source say about optimizing things safely?
Yeah, really important point. They strongly emphasize doing a proper warm-up and cool down.
Ah, yes. Can't skip those.
Especially because you're hitting high intensity so fast. A good 3 to 5 minute dynamic warm-up, things like jogging in place, high knees, arm circles, gets your muscles ready, and seriously reduces injury risk. And then just a quick 2-minute cool down afterwards, maybe some light stretching, helps with recovery. You really can't just jump cold into maximum effort.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
And listening to your body, I guess that's crucial too.
Absolutely essential. The source really stresses this. You should feel challenged, you should feel fatigued, that's the point. But sharp pain or pain that lingers, that's a definite signal to stop or at least modify what you're doing.
Good distinction. discomfort versus pain.
Exactly. You push through discomfort sometimes, but never through real pain.
And for anyone listening who might have, existing health conditions.
The standard and very sensible advice applies. Check with a healthcare professional before starting any new high-intensity routine. Always the safest bet to make sure it's right for your specific situation.
Good advice. Okay, lastly, consistency. That's always the key, right? Getting results means sticking with it. How does the source suggest making these 10-minute bursts a regular thing?
This is where that stacking workouts idea is really clever. Yeah, the idea is you break down your total daily activity goal. Let's say you're aiming for 30 minutes overall.
Okay.
Instead of finding one 30-minute slot, you find 3 10-minute slots throughout your day. Maybe 10 minutes first thing, another 10 at lunch, maybe another 10 before dinner.
Ah, I see. Break it up.
Exactly. It makes finding the time feel way less daunting than trying to block out a single big chunk. And apparently it really helps people stick with it, especially busy people.
That makes a lot of sense. It kind of removes that big psychological hurdle, doesn't it? The feeling of, oh, God, I have to find a whole hour.
Totally. Thinking in 10-minute chunks makes it feel like something you can actually squeeze in between meetings or while the kettle boils or whatever. It leverages those little pockets of time that usually just get lost.
Yeah, it reframes the whole challenge, not how do I find 30 minutes, but where can I find 3 10-minute slots?
Mm-hmm.
Much more doable for most people.
Precisely.
Okay, so let's try and sum up the core message from this source material then. These 10-minute workouts, when they use intensity and principles like HIIT and circuits, they're a powerful, really flexible, and pretty accessible way to get some significant, well-rounded health benefits.
Yeah, I think that's fair. They genuinely seem to empower people, to fit consistent exercise into lives that maybe felt way too packed before. It makes fitness feel less like this huge, unattainable goal,
Right.
and more like a practical, everyday habit you can actually build.
It really does shift the perspective on what counts as effective exercise.
Definitely. Which kind of leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over based on all this.
Okay.
Just imagine, what if you actually integrated, say, just 2 or 3 of these intense 10-minute bursts into your day? Consistently. How might that regular physical and mental recharge not just help you tick the box for activity guidelines, but maybe fundamentally change your energy levels, your focus, your overall sense of well-being right through the week?
Small commitment, potentially big impact. Something to think about.